This is the ETK-I series, a luxury sports car from the 80s that's been in BeamNG since 0.6, or way back in 2012, and it has race-bred performance. At least that's what ETK says. We'll see if this vehicle is really race-bred, or if that's just an excuse for poor ride quality. Starting off with the interior, you get the best that the 80s offer, with butt warmers, power windows, a fancy clock, and a radio that's playing Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. The seats are incredibly nice, even if you get a lower end model, although most of the I-Series interiors are an acquired taste, to put it politely. Heading to the back seats, you have enough room to take the kids to school, which is way more than you would expect in a car designed to smash through the rally stages. The trunk is big enough to fit all your groceries, the body of your lowest performing employee, or your golf equipment. Unfortunately, it is fairly shallow, so you will need to make a decision there. Heading under the hood, you can see the option for the 2.4 or 3-liter i6 engine, which I believe is designed to leak and cause oil slicks behind you. At least that's what the dealer told me when they let me borrow these cars. In terms of styling, you get the 80 special of the block, and it looks like it's designed for an executive to get their kids to school, with one minor exception on the TT Sport Evolution. In terms of real-life cars, the I-Series appears to be a mix of the BMW E30 and Audi A80. Although I am not very well versed in older BMWs, and it's a little difficult finding details on a 40-year-old car model, even if it's a very famous one. The car with the most influence of the two appears to be the E30, and the similarities continue down to the naming scheme, as many BMW models end with I and iX for all-wheel drive. So I believe that the TIX stands for Turbo I-Series All-Wheel Drive. But considering the target audience, it may also be talking about something to do with golf scores for those who would buy these. In terms of the A80, the front looks very similar, and it was one of the first really big all-wheel drive rally cars, which that's what this is in the game. So I feel like that's what has going for the A80. Another interesting fact about the I-Series is that the higher-end models had headlight wipers, which were actually a real thing back in the 80s and 90s, and were probably about as useful as they sound. Alright, now let's take a look at how this thing drives. Like usual, we will focus on the fastest or most interesting factory-produced and street-legal variant of this car. This one is both. It's certainly the fastest factory version, and if you're counting the interior and the fact that it's a homologation rally version, definitely the most interesting. This is the 2400 TTIX TT Sport Evolution. Yeah, a mouthful. A homologation rally model priced at 115,000 beam bucks from back when it was new. So, what do you get for the price of 3 Bishu Corvette GTZ turbos? Starting off with the engine, you get a 325 horsepower inline-6 engine, which is 2 more horsepower than if you were to get a Bolide 390 GT for double the price and only 130 more kilograms. That means that if you were to take the body out of your trunk and put it in the Bolide, they would weigh about the same. With the all-wheel drive, this thing will do 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds, and according to ETK, it'll do 251 kilometers per hour, but I was actually able to get it to touch 253 before bouncing off the red line. It also comes with a 6-speed gearbox, which I find poorly utilized, as second gear is very short and 5th and 6th gear are very long. In terms of handling, this car is incredible. Most all-wheel drive cars, especially the older ones, have lots of trouble with understeer. This does have a little bit of a problem with that at high speed, but with just flicking the back end out a little bit, you can still take corners at really high speeds, making this perfect for whipping around back roads. As for off-road, this does not have the suspension or tires as its big brother the rally car had, but it can handle itself alright. Although, the ground clearance is definitely a major issue. When you put this thing on the road though, it's smooth, and after the turbo spools out, it can pounce like a lynx trying to take down a whole deer. When it's going around the corners, the I-Series continues performing like that lease and can hug corners and go around faster than nearly any other car of its era. And certainly a lot safer than the Bolide goes around. Now that I've given it all that praise, let's actually put it to the test with our racing driver. Some say that its fingernails are naturally pink, and then tapes up pictures of BeamNG speedrunners on its walls, as it's trying to figure out how to drive without a seat for weight reduction. All we know is that it's called the Misty. Starting off, we get that incredible all-wheel drive launch, although it is straight into second and then third gear with that very short second gear. Heading down, we're heavy into the braking zone, and let's see how it takes turn 1. Very close hugging there. Now going into the washing machine section, let's see how much of this it can take flat out. Sheesh, the car's a little sideways there, and keeping it through there. It did have to lift a little bit. Going on the dirt, I don't think the Misty knows this is not the rally version. Taking another very tight corner there, and into the tight turns, the sneaky snack. Ooh, a little side. Cameraman, get the tree out of the way. Guess we're gonna have to fire that guy. Now going into the 190, it's taking it high speed and very close, tight hug. Heading out into the back stretch. Accelerating very quickly into the braking zone. Let's see how it handles the corkscrew. Little puff of dirt there, but it's keeping it on, mostly on the road. Now into the back chicane. Let's see how well that goes. I suspect this will go very well with that nice suspension. And oh, that was so close to the wall. Heading down the back straight and across the line. And of course the Misty has to do a quick 720 to show off for us all. Pulling up our lap time board, we can see that the base model 2400iX did a 1 minute 38 second lap, but this has over double the horsepower, better tires, a big wing, and fancy styling. I actually have very high hopes for this car, since it's incredible to drive, and even 40 years later, 325 horsepower is still a decent chunk of power. Alright, the ETK-I series 2400 TIX TT Sport Evolution did it in 1 minute 24.9 seconds, putting it faster than the modern ETK-K series 360, and just 2 seconds slower than a Bolide GTT course, which cost almost 3 times as much when it was produced around the same time. I also think that this car left several oil slicks on the track, so the next car around it will have a good excuse on it's not quite as fast. So should you buy this 40-year-old ETK? Starting off with the price, you can find these in career mode for around 40k Beam bucks, putting them at the price of a new mid-tier ETK-800 series. The trunk space is lacking compared to anything that isn't a supercar, piece of cheese, pickle, or an SBR4, but the handling is comparable to the cars of today, and around the track it was slightly faster than a mid-tier K series. The horsepower is also more than you get in the top-of-the-line Sunburst, making it very quick, even though the turbo does take a little bit to kick in. This car also weighs just 130 kilograms more than the Bolide, so you can easily throw it around the track. And the body of a low-performing employee from 35 years ago is a great conversation starter. So my verdict is that you should get an I series, as it's just as fast, the same price, way more interesting than modern cars, and doesn't have that annoying stability control that has a panic attack every time you try to go sideways. Oh, it seems that this one has now become a crime scene for a murder of almost 40 years ago. It must have gotten found while getting an oil change because it all leaked out. Well, on that bombshell, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment some ideas to motivate your employees that won't get you sent to prison. Goodbye.